Oh, you mother, father, sister, brother. Hello and good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this very special Xbox Factor podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mr. BoomStick XL. And folks, we have an incredible show for you. We started a few minutes early. You might have heard me kind of cussing before because I had an update pop up as I was hitting the go button before I could do my intro. Love computers, but sometimes you want to bash them with a hammer. Listen, folks, the reason why we started early is because not only am I extremely honored to have been a part of the review process for Song of Iron, which you see on your screen. We have its creator, Joe Winter, with us today. And again, we only got him for 10 minutes. He's got some really big things to be doing on the background. I'm going to get to you first, and I'll do the intro after with Joe. Listen, welcome. Congratulations. Today is August 31st. The game is officially out. It's reviewing extremely well. Lots of buzz. How the heck are you feeling?
Hey, Boom. Thanks for having me. It's awesome to be on even for just a little bit while I go and panically post everything and hit the launch button and all that stuff. But I'm feeling really good. I was telling everybody before that we started that I could probably throw a car across the street right now. I've got so much adrenaline like amping me up, but I'm feeling good. Nerves are a wreck, but we'll just I'll survive today. We'll make it.
Well, you know what? I think that the nerves only proves your integrity and your professionalism to want to deliver an amazing product. And I'm here to tell you, folks, if you missed my review, first of all, I got to say thank you for entrusting myself, gamers like the Wandering Dutch, and of course, Archimedes, good friend of this show, and of course the biggest representative of the indie community, Indie Gamer.
Indie gamer.
Everyone did amazing reviews. If you missed out on them, I'm not going to throw the number at you because I really want you to check out my video. I put a lot of work into it. I was actually nervous because I obviously I want to represent his brand as best I could. I'm happy that he did in fact enjoy the review. Joe, listen, what could people expect when they purchase Song of Iron today? What kind of experience have you crafted? And could you tell the people that didn't watch the videos a little bit of backstory about Song of Iron?
Yeah, song of I'm well. Hey, thanks for having me again, Joe, the developer. No, sorry, you can tell I'm out of my mind. Yeah, I've been in the game industry for a while now, and I decided to instead of making other people's games, to try to make my own game, and that sort of birthed Song of Iron, and it's been an amazing journey building it over the last 2 years. I'm super inspired by stuff in the inside, which I think looking at what Boom's playing right now is pretty obvious, and I take that through the game. But of course, you're a Viking, and so there's combat also, and it's really meant to be a fun and visceral style combat, way more dynamic than a lot of stuff. Just in that so much of it is physics based and really lets the player kind of determine how things go instead of too many combos or any sort of overly scripted events and stuff. And it's a clean, not too long story, and it takes you through all sorts of environments and stuff. And hopefully, it's just a really good time. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think people are going to enjoy it. In my video review, the two games that I compare this most closely to are Inside and Limbo, both from Playdead, both from an indie studio that makes incredible titles. And I'm not certainly saying it because I'm looking to hype Joe up. I'm telling you because I put it to this way. What was interesting about my playthrough with this, Joe, and anyone that's listening, is that the minute I got to the credits, I started over as the female Viking because when you start the game, you do have a choice, male or female. And I played through it again. And obviously, my playthrough my second time was a lot quicker, but well worth every minute of it. And as you can see, there is some stealth mechanics and elements to it. I mean, if you're looking to be just a visceral Viking and just completely cut people to pieces, you can just run through the game and do it that way. But there are some sneaking elements that where if you feel like the odds are against you, you might want to do exactly that and kind of crawl your way through. Joe, where could people support you by purchasing this game, what other platforms are it on? Is it on?
It's on Xbox and Steam, and hopefully more eventually. But for now, that's it as far as PC goes. But Xbox exclusive for now, and and Steam, and you can follow me on Twitter, which is at Song of Iron, which is where I'll try to be keeping people updated. If there's any issues that I got to fix, anything like that, I'll definitely be trying to be as open about it as I can.
Yeah, well, you know what? Like I said, I didn't want to hold you up too much longer, Joe. I know you only had a few minutes. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to stop by. I know your nerves are a wreck, but there's nothing to be nervous about. This is a solid release, your first release for your company, and man, it's a real stunner, and it really puts an exclamation point on the skills and dedication that you have to not only to the game itself, but the characters that you built inside of it. Congratulations once again. Thank you so much, Joe, for hanging out with us. And we will definitely get you back on once everything kind of settles on. Okay?
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Boom.
Thank you, Joe. Have a great day, brother.
All right, take care. I'll see you guys around.
All right. All right, folks, that was Joe Winter, creator of Song of Iron, which you're going to see the first half of the show. And today, on today's show, Mrs. BoomStick and I have purchased $250 worth of gift cards, $25 a piece because we're going to pay for the taxes and leave you a little bit of extra money. Song of Iron is $19.99 on Xbox, and we are going to be giving 10 people right now in this chat away. You don't got to be a channel member. You don't have to drop a super chat in there. You simply got to be here for the for today's show, and I will pick a winner. I will process everybody, and I will announce towards the end of the show who has won, and I will then start. It's going to take me a minute or two to kind of get those codes out to everybody. But I'll make the announcement to you. If you don't have a Twitter account, you got it. I'll give you my email. You email me your information, and we'll definitely, obviously, we'll get you the code one way or another. But let's get into the introductions. And one of the cogs that keeps this show rolling each and every Tuesday, Zemi Games, the bravest gamer that cannot wait to talk about Scorn releasing exclusively for Xbox later this fall. How the heck are you, Zemi? You're muted, Zemi.
You're muted, sir.
It happens to the best of us. I keep saying it,
almost all the time.
And it happened to me today. It happens to the best of us.
Yes.
But no, man, I'm super excited. Just beat Elder Scrolls Skyrim yesterday for
the gazillionth time.
Yeah,
by the way.
yeah. And then I moved on to Psychonauts too, and I am really enjoying that game. But
great game,
but
man.
Other than that, man, I'm doing absolutely perfect, man. Super excited to be here and jump into these topics that you have lined up for us, man.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. Real quick, Drawn TJ, generous friend of the show, and who's someone that will be making his first appearance on Primetime Gaming in a couple of weeks, drops an outstanding $10 super chat, and he don't say anything. That's how cool this cat is. He simply drops the money, gives the peace sign, and he's out. But thank you, Drawn TJ. Definitely appreciate that. Stepping up today in a big way because Pong So couldn't be here because obviously, work, real life responsibilities. Mav, what's up, brother? How the heck are you? And what's been going on with your channel? Have you seen the growth that we expected to get?
Oh yeah, it's been awesome, Boom. Thanks for having me here. Somebody had to pick up Pong's slack. You know what I mean? It's like they're always making excuses, work, smirk. Come on. No, I'm super happy to be here with all these guys on Song of Iron Day. We also got some other awesome stuff to talk about. There's some cool stuff happening later today as well out there. We get some updates on some big games releasing this holiday. So this is going to be a fun Tuesday for gaming. So I'm just excited to be a part of this today. Shout out to the panel. Shout out to the chat. I see the chat is already going on fire right now. I see a lot of awesome people there.
Yeah.
So let's get to this. Let's get some more intros and then let's have some fun.
Definitely want to say thanks for being here, and of course, joining us today for now. I believe it's his second or maybe even his third visit with us. Flame, welcome back, brother. People don't know who Flame is. Obviously, he worked with Zemi as a writer on ConstantGamer.com, and now he is working with my brothers at the LordsOfGaming.net, writing incredible articles. Flame, how the heck are you, man? Welcome back.
I'm doing pretty great. I'm not a fan of the storm going on right now because pretty sure thunder just came around. But it's great to be here, and I'm glad to be on your show again, Mr. Boom. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's great to have you, brother, and certainly the most suavest man. I would say that he is the suavest man on this panel. He might be the suavest dude in the industry. My brother, 3-Bit. Welcome back, brother. We love to have you on each and every week, especially because you have such insight to the industry, both as a professional, but also as a gamer. How the heck are you, bro?
I'm good. Hello, everyone. It's awesome that we got to see Joe for that little bit. It's it could not have been easy to finish that game, and he strived and he finished it, he conquered it, and now holding yourself accountable can be a friggin' pain. So I get that.
Indeed.
And awesome, proud of him, and I'm looking forward to playing the game later today. But it's good to be here, Mav. Good to always see you on different shows where we're on together. And Flames, good to see you guys again. Let's get into the show. It's gonna be a good one.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, listen, what I wanted to do, the news has been light, right? Especially specifically for Xbox, because, as we get closer to the fall, we're going to start getting into more shows. We're going to get into some bigger releases. What I wanted to do was kind of take a pause for a hot second and kind of just talk to the panel and get our personal top 3 games of the Xbox for 2021, and more specifically, what right now leads your game of the year. And as the host, I'm going to go first, and mine are all indies. And for me personally, and again, obviously we have Forza Motorsport 5. We have some of the bigger and small titles. We've got Halo Infinite coming, both multiplayer and single player, on December 8th. So I mean, those are obviously going to be put into the conversation. Psychonauts is absolutely incredible. If you're not playing it, I'm at the casino level right now, and it's wow, man. It is just the minds over at Double Fine have proven once again that they know how to make a game, and whatever they're working on next, and we know that they're already started working on the next exclusive title for Xbox. I can only imagine it's going to be a big game. A lot of people, I've been seeing a lot of chatter in the in the community about, hey, maybe we give them Banjo-Kazooie, and I'm all for that. I've said that for a while. I think Tim Schafer and that team would make an incredible Banjo-Kazooie, but again, they do make an original IPs. But for me personally, the 3 top games that I have had really the most fun in the last, 45 days, give or take. Death's Door, absolutely incredible. If you are a Zelda-esque type of gamer, The Ascent is phenomenal. Flaws and all. I really had no problems with the game, and of course, right in front of you, Joe Winter's masterpiece, at least in my opinion, Song of Iron. Those are my top 3 games that I have played on Xbox specifically as exclusives, and some in Game Pass, some not, but worth every penny of it. And it's just, it's the year of the indie. We were talking prior to us going live, and I was saying that it is a conversation is going to have to be had at one point, and it's going to be done on this show because I like original conversations and original topics on how the indie community might just have single-handedly shown the AAA big boys how to develop games from their home, how to make incredible quality content and still have to deal with the T virus that's currently still a big issue in this world, not just this country. But Zemi, let's get to you. I know kind of one of them right off the top, but what 3 games for you kind of lead the charge for 2021, and what would you make your game of the year if you stopped right now?
Probably 12 minutes. If I stopped right now, 12 minutes would probably win my game of the year. I absolutely just thoroughly enjoyed that game. I knew I would before I even jumped into it, and to me, it did not let me down whatsoever. Psychonauts 2 would definitely be on that list as well. I am really, really, really enjoying Psychonauts 2. I haven't beat it yet. I think I'm maybe a third into like the story, but so far I am really, really enjoying my experience with that. And then the final one, I'm honestly going to have to give a cheat to, which is Elder Scrolls Skyrim, the 10th anniversary edition. That's coming out
I
this
knew
year.
that was going to be in there somehow or another.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to try to incorporate that, one way or another. And so obviously, for obvious reasons, I'm very, very extremely excited for that. Can't wait for that to drop November 11th. But yeah, those are probably going to be my 3 picks.
Nice. Just strong picks, strong way. And what's interesting is you said you just finished Skyrim.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a funny question, and I think I kind of know the answer because I know you pretty well. I would imagine that when the 10th anniversary of edition drops, you're going to pay the $10 and you're going to play through it again.
Yeah, if it comes out as like a different release completely, I'll buy a physical edition. If they come out with like maybe even like a special edition, I'll pay for whatever I need to pay for that. I'll also probably buy it digital. If it has new achievements, I will instantly start playing it this November. If it doesn't have new achievements, then I'm probably going to hold off maybe a year or two until it gets a little bit closer to Elder Scrolls 6 release, and then I'll be replaying Oblivion, Skyrim, and the special or the anniversary edition with all the extra content, and then also probably Morrowind before Elder Scrolls 6 comes out because I just beat Skyrim. But if there's new achievements, then for sure I will be jumping in it this holiday.
Well, if they're charging, I mean, again, we don't really know because there's been light news on what they're doing for this, said anniversary. I would imagine if you're going to have to pay the $10 to upgrade if you own it, which most of us do because you can get it through Game Pass, it would make sense to have new achievements if it's the quote unquote anniversary edition. I hope so for gamers like you who really appreciate the brand and the title, and would definitely give you a reason to run through it again to say that yes, I have all these achievements. Now, did you get every achievement in the game?
Yeah.
Wow, that's dedication, folks.
I just finished it yesterday, and then I was like, woohoo! Now I'm done with this. I can go play Psychonauts because I only play one game at a time, right?
Yeah.
So I was still stuck on. Well, I say stuck. It sounds like it's negative. I was thoroughly enjoying myself on Elder Scrolls, but I really also wanted to jump into Psychonauts. So fortunately, I was able to finish off everything yesterday in Elder Scrolls Skyrim, so I could jump into Psychonauts.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I mean, I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm only, I don't know, maybe 3 hours into the game. I am really quite enjoying it.
It's good.
It is well done, and graphically, it is a stunner for sure. What they were able to do, and again, there was a story that we're going to be talking about on Thursday's Xbox Factor podcast, specifically about Double Fine and what happened regarding the purchase and how important it was to Tim Schafer and the entire team, because a lot of folks don't know this. I'm not saying they were on death's door by any stretch of the truth. They did get the game crowdfunded, but at the same time, like a lot of indie developers were struggling financially, and Microsoft came in. And we're going to be talking about the story that Tim Schafer tells. It's pretty actually quite interesting, and proves once again that Microsoft isn't the devil like they're portrayed by many people that just think they're a big, $1 trillion company and that's it. There's a lot of love and care that goes into the decisions, specifically made for Xbox, and of course that's with the leader that we all know and love, Phil Spencer. But Mav, let's get your opinion on this. Where do you fall on your top 3 games? And if we had to vote today, what would lead the charge as your game of the year?
That's an easy one for me right now, and that's It Takes Two.
Strong pick, dude. Yeah, that's a great one, man.
It's going to be hard to pass. I'm such a Halo guy that if Halo nails it, that's like the one thing that I think could surpass that for me for Game of the Year. But I don't know, man. It's just such a memorable experience. Like I think the best co-op game ever created, as far as built around co-op. Such a one. It's just amazing. I have a video on my channel just about the experience of playing that game. A good story, great mechanics, great platforming, just so many things to love about it. And that's technically it's an indie game too, right? I kind of that's a little blurry there, right? Because they definitely have a bigger team, right, and a little bit bigger budget now, but that's where the indie phrase is like, hey, Song of Iron.
If you remember, this is coming off the jail simulator that EA
No Way
saw
Out.
No Way Out that they enjoyed, and even though they were funded by a big company, doesn't make them any less than an indie, because you could say the same thing about many of the Xbox games that are getting tremendous amount of support. So I agree with you. I think that their game's slightly bigger and a bigger team because of their prior success with No Way Out.
Yeah, and they're going to keep growing, especially after that, right? And then after that, I'm with Zimmy. 12 minutes, I've seen a lot of like people either love it or they don't really get it, or that it wasn't what they expected. But for me, like 12 minutes was just a mastercraft in storytelling, and it was kind of a different kind of game. Like the way that you think of the solutions to the problems in a real world way. Like, how, if I was here, how would I try and solve this issue? And because you can't figure out how to advance, right? And then you actually put that into motion, and it's a ridiculous idea that you could have, that like, this isn't going to work, but I'm going to try it, right? And then it actually has a real result that actually moves the story forward, is incredibly satisfying. That's the magic of that game for me, and it creates this like element to where the game is not the mechanics, it's the game is inside your head, right? And the way that they actually have pushed that forward to the person playing is amazing. Now, you're not going to have the most fun jumping around or anything like that. I mean, it's not like that. You're clicking. It's kind of clunky. You know what I mean? But it is absolutely amazing. So 12 minutes would be next. And then, Psychonauts 2, Death's Door. But for me, Hades, because it's the first time I got to play it.
Yeah.
And that's in Game Pass. Just it's an amazing year for games.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I understand what Hades is. I played through it. I got through the second boss. I had an incredible build. I died. I started playing again, and I was so disappointed that I died and I lost this build to try and get it back. I mean, I know people like and Randall Thor beat the game in 18 minutes, which is just sick. Like that's just crazy. Listen, there's some people that have spent 100 hours in that game. Good on you. I'm going to be honest, playing the game, I was like, I'm not really supposed to like this, to be honest with you, because I don't like rogues. Rogues are just, no, not for Boom. I to lose your stuff because you made a mistake, game's got to respect your time. So that's why I'm not going back to Hades. Anyone that plays it and loves it, congratulations on that. And Joe Dunmore, a good friend of the show, he says he can't stop playing Hades. Yeah, I was like that initially. Got past the second boss, didn't die once on that second boss. My first run beat the balls off of him, and then got killed by something stupid. I'm like, you know what? F this game. I'm sorry. But again, that's just me. Let's get to Flame on this. Flame, for you right now, what are your 3 top games for Xbox? What leads the charge of today was that we all had to sit here and listen. Before you leave the chair, you gotta vote on what's your game of the year.
Let's see. I mean, I honestly really loved Death's Door. Like you said, like it's an amazing Zelda game. Like I really hate that people try to say it's like a Souls-like thing, but it's just like, no, this is more like the really old school Zelda games. But hey, whatever. Just call it a Souls-like if it's difficult for you. I did love Map's choice with It Takes Two. I thought the game was an absolute masterpiece. I've been trying to get Zemi to play with me, but unfortunately he wants achievements, so that's not going to happen anytime soon. But if I had to choose one game that I think will lead the charge for the year for me, it will be Forza Horizon 5. The 8 minutes of gameplay that they showed at the Xbox event at Gamescom. Oh my
Pretty
god,
impressive.
it's so. I love Playground. I'm very excited for Fable 2. So I really love what they're doing with Forza Horizon 5, and I can't wait to see just more of that game over the next couple months. But yeah, I guess Forza Horizon 5 would be mine.
Yeah, I mean, listen, what could you say about Forza? Every time we see the game, you know, it's funny when you look at the game and you see it running, you know, and specifically that 8 minutes Gamescom demo you were talking about. There are two. My mind is kind of split. It's almost kind of like Psychonauts 2. If you play the game, you'll know what I'm talking about.
I have. It's
one flame is that you sit back in awe and you're like, every time we see a new Forza, whether it be Horizon or Motorsport, we are completely blown away that they are pushing themselves in a way that just seems like it's impossible, right? And then the second part of my brain says, if they could do that with cars, what are they going to be able to deliver in Fable? Now, I understand two separate teams, and I get tired of people saying that. Two separate teams making the games. We get it, but they're one company. You know, Johnny on the left is probably going to at some point go over and help on the right. That's the way big business works. And if you don't know what that is, well, then you know, what can I tell you? Learn the business. But they are one team, and this is the old engine, which is crazy. And it's going to be everything that we've been asking for as Xbox fans for Microsoft and their teams to deliver. I think we're going to get not only in Forza Horizon 5, that's a great pick, but I think we're going to get it in Fable in the big way. But good stuff, brother. Let's get 3-Bit's conversation in on this. 3-Bit, right now, what are your top 3 picks for Xbox? And what would be your game of the year if you had no choice but to vote today?
My top game of the year is It Takes Two. You know,
nice.
the level design, the variety. I've had the pleasure of playing that with a game with Lady, and we had an absolute blast. We could not stop playing it. In terms of the variety of the levels and the design, it's just still up there as my game of the year for sure. But something is sort of creeping up there, and that is Psychonauts 2.
Good pick, dude. Great pick.
Yeah, that game has killed it, and its writing and its humor. It makes me feel like a kid again. I was saying like in this post, and it just feels like a game. That's probably the biggest compliment I can give. It embraces being fun,
yes,
and being a game. And Double Fine's DNA is very much infused within this game's mechanics, its level design, and the writing. It's fantastic. So. You know, my game of the year is probably It Takes Two, and under that, Psychonauts 2 is creeping up there. I think it's getting better and better the more I play it, and that's amazing. In terms of potential other ones that's coming in from the Xbox side of things, I mean, 12 minutes was great. I think that does need to be on the list somewhere. You know, the gameplay mechanics of the point and click isn't for most people, but I thought it was like the premise of the game was fantastic, and it really gets you on the edge of your seat, especially when you start dying and different things happen without going into spoiler territory. And if I had to choose one last one, I would say like Halo Infinite. Of course, you know, I think everybody on here loves Halo to some extent, and I played the tech tests and thought it was a fantastic mesh of old school Halo.
It was so good, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, love it. Like old school Halo and new new Halo. The gameplay was just solid. I still have it installed in my Xbox, the tech test.
Me too. I'm waiting for the invite, brother. I'm waiting for the flight and second invite. I hope that I do, because it's big team battle. And folks, you're going to see me get demolished by these hammers multiple times because just damn.
Yeah.
Big team battle means vehicles too.
Yep.
Dude,
Vehicles.
yes,
Yep.
it does. And that's what I love. I'm an old school cat. My brother Neo Mental and I, back in the days, we played the heck out of Halo 2 on the OG Xbox, but it was Halo 3 that we really turned the dial up to 13. And I couldn't get enough of Halo 3. That's the exact vibes that I got from the flighting. I said, wow, they are back. And I think that we're going to get that both in campaign in a new fun way, as well as, of course, in the multiplayer. But you know what I want to do? First of all, I want to say hello to Caitlin in the chat. Obviously, I think Matt, you might know who she is. She's amazing. She does an incredible job each and every week on your Friday evening podcast. You should come on the show, darling. I don't care. Listen, you can curse, you do whatever you want. We can get you on the show. We'll be all right. You can even say you clamshell somebody instead of teabagging them. That's fine. That's whatever you want. You got the queen gets what the queen wants. So anytime you want to jump on, you got it. But listen, I kind of want to transition into a conversation. Again, there's not a lot of news, so sometimes, Boom has to put the thinking cap on, and the old man comes up with, I think, sometimes good, some good conversations. And I saw an article from, I think it was from Video Games Chronicles, and I love those guys over there. They don't know who I am yet. Hopefully, they will eventually. I'd love to get one of their writers onto the show, because I really do enjoy the way that they handle their show, their site. Very rare do you see like a questionable, article. Every now and again, you get a clickbait, then you're like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I'm a little shocked, but I love the site, and there's a lot of talk going on in the community on how it appears that Microsoft is going to completely dominate this fall. Not only with their games, but of course with console sales. We know that, obviously you tuned into Primetime Gaming last night. The second half of the show was talking about the Sony PlayStation 5 redesign woes that could potentially be happening. Everyone that was on the panel really brought their A game in regards to why this may not be a problem today. But though it could potentially become a problem, in 2022, simply because they're making the heat sink smaller, and of course, with the addition of the SSD that you can unscrew a couple of screws and pop it in there, heat may become an issue. And we do have an understanding that the reason why Sony supposedly decided this was so they can get the console into more people's hands, which they're still having a trouble doing. But when you get to Microsoft, what I have noticed, and Microsoft hasn't made any official announcements on this, I'm noticing that the console is becoming, specifically the Series S, more than anything, is becoming more and more available. As a matter of fact, the day that it was a crazy in the community for the Halo Series X, the Series S was available at Target, Best Buy, Amazon. I still have it in my cart. I just wanted to see how long it would stay there, folks. I checked today; it's still there. So, if you're looking for an S, if you want in on the Xbox greatness that's currently going on, pick up a Series X or an S. And I think Microsoft is probably going to mass produce the S because this fall is going to be all about Xbox. I wanted to get everyone's opinion on whether you feel Microsoft has the potential to honestly dominate this fall. And I'll start with 3-bit. 3-bit, obviously, when you talk about quote-unquote bangers, Joe, the $5, the two big ones that jump off the page, Halo Infinite, launching on December 8th, both multiplayer and single player. And, of course, Forza Horizon 5, which every time we see it just continues to just look more and more incredible. Do you think and I kind of want to just paint the picture for you. If there's one thing that I can say we have seen Microsoft do I'd like to say that they have pulled a Sony, because not only are they releasing some high caliber first party games in two of their pillars, right? You know, when you talk about the pillars that hold up the Emerald box, it's Gears, it's Forza Horizon, and of course it's Halo. Well, two of those three are coming out this fall. But on top of that, surrounding that, are games like The Ascent, Song of Iron, 12 Minutes, The Lake, and Scorn, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. Tunic, which is supposed to release. There are just so many games that are now surrounding the big guys, and everyone seems to complement one another. I mean, the perfect example of first party goodness is Psychonauts. Everyone here that has seen it, that has played it, has incredible things to say about it, because quite frankly, it might be one of Double Fine's best releases in a decade. Let's just say that. And this is coming off a sequel to a game that's 16 years old. Do you feel Microsoft has positioned the brand to even dominate Nintendo this fall?
Okay, so in terms of the holiday sales, I would say Xbox is in the best position it has been for a while.
Yeah, since the 360, I would dare say.
Yeah, I would say the script has flipped, and Xbox is having an extremely packed lineup this holiday in terms of games, right? And in terms of messaging, Sony has been pretty silent on like any front showcasing what's available this year. But even with that being said, Sony is a powerful brand, and it's still going to sell incredibly well. And Halo Infinite, I think, is going to launch quite a bit of sales this year. When you pair that up with some other games, like there's still a lot of games coming out this holiday. We have Scorn, right? Crossfire X, Halo, Forza, Gunk, 12 Minutes, I believe. So all these games make Xbox look more and more appealing this year, and you really can't beat the value. I know people every time we say Game Pass, people get annoyed, but you really can't beat the value that is Game Pass, and that value is going to just increase the more Xbox Studio games start to launch. And we're playing Psychonauts 2 for those who have Game Pass. We're playing Psychonauts 2, a game that is in conversation for Game of the Year.
Yep. And not by just, and I want to just kind of add to what you're saying. Mm-hmm. It's not just us that are saying it. We're talking about some of the bigger media conglomerates talking about it. And you know something? It's about time, and it's great that it is in the conversation. That's a great point.
Yeah, it's a game that's in the conversation for Game of the Year for some people, and if you have Game Pass, it's kind of free, right? So yes. I think Xbox will do very well this holiday, but there's still scalpers to worry about, and they're kind of ruining people getting some of these systems. And I've never seen it this bad in other generations. Maybe I wasn't paying as much attention to it in the past, or maybe it's always been like this. But something to note is because of the scalpers, you have Sony kind of selling over, I believe it was 10 million consoles.
Yeah, 2.5 of those were not activated.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So you have 25 or 10 million consoles, and only 25% of PlayStation 5s are actually being turned on. So I believe that's 2.5 million active users, if that is an accurate assessment. And it's just because of these scalpers. So this holiday, I'm hoping once they start to make more and more of these consoles, get more out there, and hopefully more people can gain access to these games. So on both sides, Xbox and Sony, right? So, but Xbox is in the best position it's been in terms of some of these launch games, and or some of these games that are about to come out, like the Gunk, like Halo, like Forza. These are just really good games in 12 minutes. It just goes on and on. So yeah, they're in a very, very good position.
You know what, Zemi? Let's bring you into the conversation. You and I have been doing the Xbox Factor for many years now, and it's been an enjoyable experience for sure. And one of the things that we can safely say that we have experienced is a couple of holidays that Microsoft basically had nothing, literally nothing but the console to sell. And depending on what point of the Xbox One era that was, there were some holidays where they kind of just limped into it. This is a very different Microsoft. This is a very different scenario that we're talking about. Is it possible to see Microsoft potentially dominate the holiday? And I'm not just talking about in edging out potentially Sony and Nintendo. I mean, like actually significantly having the conversation like, wow, they are back in a big way, and here we go. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, like, when you say dominate, do you mean like, every Xbox, gets sold only, like only 0.5 of a PlayStation gets sold? Like, do you mean like Xbox is outselling PlayStation tremendously, or like what exactly do you mean by dominate?
Well, I mean, I suppose it's subjective, but I think the best way to describe it is, if you look at what Microsoft has positioned themselves to do, is they don't necessarily care if you buy the box. But with that said, there are two different versions. There's a $500, big boy for the hardcore, and there's the $300 one that says, "Hey, listen, if you've never been to Xbox, but you wanna experience Xbox Game Pass, this is the best." And again, one works. It's like peanut butter and jelly because you don't need discs if you have Xbox Game Pass, and obviously because it's a digital system, which more and more people are now starting to adapt to. So when I say dominate, I'm just talking about sales in general. Could Microsoft become the conversation this fall?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's totally possible that they definitely, kind of, I guess, more or less dominate, what people are kind of talking about, because, they have a tremendous number of games. They have a tremendous number of options for consumers. And I mean, quite frankly, Xbox is in the best situation that it's been in, but since the 360. But in all fairness, I mean, the positioning of their brand right now seems even in some ways stronger than it was during the 360 generation. So Xbox has amazing potential right now. However, PlayStation is also doing very, very well, right? And PlayStation is really good at selling on a promise and selling on a hope, right? Nintendo, they're also performing exceptionally well in their console sales. They have a new system that is coming out, or has came out. I don't really follow Nintendo tremendously well, but then they also have a new Pokemon game that's dropping this holiday as well, which Pokemon is probably one of their most popular IPs. So to say that these other companies aren't going to have a chance, I don't believe that. But I do.
No, I never suggested that. I didn't say a chance
for sure.
Yeah.
But I think overall Xbox going into this holiday definitely appears to have the strongest positioning going in, right? Will they completely dominate? The conversation, I don't know. I think that there's, great potential for them to get a lot of mind share this holiday. But, Nintendo, PlayStation, they're not going to just sit back and, just watch it happen. And they definitely have strengths going into this holiday as well. For instance, PlayStation has been selling very, very well. Like they've been selling a lot of consoles really, really well. They've also been able to produce, a lot of consoles, outproduce Xbox. If you follow a lot of the sales charts, and then of course they're really good at selling on hope, and people definitely are still going to remember all the great IP and games that came out last gen, and I think it's kind of expected that we're going to see that same type of content on PlayStation this generation. And then of course, like I said before, Nintendo just came out with a new console, Pokemon, big game. So I definitely think that they have the strongest positioning going in. I think that they have great potential to sweep up a lot of the mind share, but it's not 100% guaranteed. Nothing is.
Well, nothing is absolutely guaranteed. That is definitely for certain. Let's bring in Mav. Did we get your opinion on this, brother?
Not yet. Total annihilation, domination all the way. Let's go.
So yeah. So I mean, listen. Obviously, you run an Xbox show, and you do it in the best way possible. Love the program that you have each and every Friday. It's done with class. It's done with a family atmosphere. Looking from a position of power, which I think Microsoft is sitting in right now. I'm not going to say that they have completely taken over on what PlayStation has built over the last 7 or 8 years. Because I'm not even going to suggest that at all. What I'm going to say is that they as a brand, as a company of the big three, I think that with what they have already released in 2021 and what is coming for the remainder of the year, both in first party, second party deals, double A, and even indies, they have laid they have put down the cards that they might have the best hand. Where do you fall on the conversation?
Yeah, I think they're poised for greatness this holiday. If you just keep track of what's always in the news right now, Xbox is constantly in the news right now, and I don't know how they're doing it, but it's either an indie game or it's an update on a big game coming out this holiday or whatever. But there's constantly something to either look forward to immediately or also updates on things that are coming soon on the horizon, right? And speaking of Horizon, Forza Horizon 5 stole the show at E3.
Yep.
That's
stole the show at Gamescom.
Yes, and it's going to be here this holiday. That is going to be it may be the most anticipated racing game in a while.
Yeah.
Right. And a long while. So that's happening. We got Halo, and regardless of whether co-op is there or not, it's going to be a freaking huge deal this holiday. Not only because of selling Xboxes and all this stuff, but it's free to play. So you're going to drive a lot of people into the ecosystem.
Yep.
So when you say, like, what does dominating mean? It doesn't necessarily mean hardware sales. It doesn't necessarily mean anything. It means driving players to the platform. That's what Xbox is all about. They're trying to drive players of all types, all varieties, playing all different kinds of games to the platform. The catch is, I think they are also going to potentially win in sales this holiday because they already have been. What was it like? The last report that we got was actually Xbox had edged out PlayStation on the
I
sales
think that was
cards.
June,
Right.
MPD.
So that's already starting to happen. Now, if you look at the future of what's coming now and what's on the horizon for the games on both platforms, if you're comparing sales-wise, not that it matters, but it looks like if I were to try and pick who's going to sell more consoles the rest of this year, I would bet on Xbox just because they have all the games.
Yeah.
They're even providing the holiday lineup for the other platform with Deathloop. Now that again, I'm not trying to start stuff, but
no. But dude, think about this for a second. Take nothing away from Ratchet and Clank. It's going to be in my top 10. I've loved every minute of it. If you have not played it and you own a PlayStation 5, you definitely got to play it if you like platformers. It's again, it's another masterpiece. Very happy with it for sure. With that said, though, we had obviously very early, two releases, two exclusives, big exclusives, one indie, and now of course, obviously the big boy from, with Ratchet and Clank. But the rest of the year, and I say all because it's one of my most anticipated indies. What's the name of the game that's coming out that was delayed? Bridge of Spirits. Kena looks
that looks great,
fantastic. I mean, it looks like now that looks like a real Pixar game. Yep. So I'm looking forward to that. But if I love the way you position this, and I didn't even think to say that when you present the evidence into who could potentially sell more. I know Zemi said, new Zelda game coming for
Pokemon.
Pokemon
game for for Nintendo. That's going to be big.
Switch is a handheld, though. To be honest, I mean, you can't really, if you're trying to say console sales, Switch is not even in the same category as what the PlayStation or the Xbox is. So like whenever we're talking about that, they're capturing both like a console gamer audience plus also the handheld, and handhelds always sold way more than the consoles anyway, right? So the Switch is like for me a different thing altogether. And regardless of what they have coming, which they have some stuff coming, but still not that much. When you look at everything comparatively, games wise, it's just Xbox is so freaking much, and and you talk about the like Forza and Halo and all this stuff, but that doesn't even count Scorn, Crossfire X, which was also said to be still coming this year, and these and everything else, all these indies that keep dropping and dropping, and one after another, after another, after another, and it's like we can't even keep up with the amount of games that we're getting, and they're not just games, they're not just Game Pass fodder like people have been saying for a long time. These games are getting like crazy good scores, right? I mean, look at all the reviews out there. If you're one of those people that tries to use quality over quantity or quantity over quality argument, you can't use that anymore. I mean, these games are talking about potential game of the year candidates. You're talking about games that are also very specific and focused for certain types of gamers, not just like, oh, this game's just like meant to be for the casuals or whatever. You know, there's like specific genres that they're targeting. Just great experiences all around, and it's in Game Pass. It's freaking crazy, man.
Yeah.
The value proposition is just going to keep growing and growing. So we'll see what's going to happen this holiday, but I think those Series S's are going to fly off the shelves.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that they are. Let's get Flame now. Flame, from both a fan and a writer's perspective, Microsoft seems to be really hitting on all cylinders going into the fall season, the holiday season for gaming, which of course is one of the biggest money conversations each and every year. This year is going to have some big games. Certainly not one of the bigger falls that we've ever had, but there's still, when you look at what Microsoft is bringing to the table, as opposed to, I mean, again, when you talk about Microsoft, you got to talk about PlayStation. When you talk about PlayStation, you got to talk Xbox. That's just the conversation. And right now, normally, and what we've seen in many years past, Sony has delivered on their first-party games to dominate sales, whether that be with Spider-Man or, take your favorite pick that has come out in the fall. That's not the case in 2021. It's Microsoft that has basically pulled a page right out of Sony's book, and they're delivering. Now, granted, a lot of these games were delayed, and they have set up this incredible 2021 for Microsoft. But for you personally, can Microsoft be the dominant brand this fall?
Well, I think it's more or less like if you looked at last year whenever they launched the Series X, there really wasn't that much. Obviously, a lot of third-party games pushed their release dates forward to make sure Xbox had a decent launch with stuff like Yakuza Like a Dragon, amazing game. And it seems like for this year, I feel like them pushing back some of the stuff that they wanted to get out is actually going to pay off, because everybody was kind of right whenever they said that they're going to dominate in conversation because there's a lot of games coming out. I mean, if just going by two obvious ones, just Forza Horizon 5 and Halo Infinite all on its own is going to be an incredible thing. But I also want to look at it as, even though the Pokemon Gen 4 remakes for Nintendo are coming out, that's not really going to like steal the spotlight away from like the actual conversation of what this holiday is going to look like, because it really feels like Xbox is just kind of dominating from the perspective of not really having that much competition this time around, because PlayStation technically has nothing aside from Deathloop, and I think both Deathloop and Kenna come out next month together.
Yes, I believe so.
So, yeah, whatever it comes down to it, they'll definitely win, but it feels like it's just kind of everybody's kind of absent. They didn't really have anything going into the holiday of this year, but that doesn't mean that PlayStation and Nintendo aren't going to sell. I still have Switches coming in on a regular basis at my store, and they always sell immediately. In fact, we've actually just started getting in our first Xbox consoles, even though they're Series S's, but those are still flying off. So regardless, I feel like everyone's going to do a fantastic job. But yeah, there's going to be a lot more games talk whenever it comes to Xbox as opposed to Nintendo and PlayStation, because there's really not that much going on over at the two. Obviously, Nintendo and PlayStation will have an amazing year next year because they have stuff like Breath of the Wild 2, Horizon Forbidden West. I'm not going to say God of War Ragnarok because I think that's 2023, but that's just kind of my take on it. It's yeah, they'll definitely win the games talk, but it's more or less because not a lot of other people really showed. The other two didn't really have anything else, so.
Interesting. I definitely think you're onto something with that. And again, it is a light year for both Nintendo and Sony. So I think just based on pure numbers.
So I guess yes, they will dominate. Sorry,
Yeah.
I didn't give an actual evaluation. I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right. No, I mean, listen, like I said, again, this is just obviously just for conversation purposes, and obviously it's it's subjective. You might agree, you might disagree. What I want to do though, before we go to topic, I think we're only hitting topic. Well, I mean, it's technically topic 4 because we did talk with Joe about Song of Iron, which you see running in the background. And I'm going to switch over to Dirt 5 now because that footage is ending. I want to announce the first 5 winners, and I'll be announcing the second 5 winners towards the end of the show. And here they go. You have Paul AFC, Joe Dunmore, Outbreak Podcast, Phasma, and Lady Foxfire. I will be. I have a little running around to do after the show, but as soon as I get back, I will send you your $25 Xbox Live code so you can purchase. I mean, again, obviously you purchase whatever you want, but the whole crux of this giveaway was so people could go out and support Song of Iron by buying the game. It's $19.99. We give you $25, so we pay for the taxes. And Kay Asante's in the building. What's up, brother? No, unfortunately, you didn't win the first round. But congrats to the first 5 winners. I will be picking the next 5 momentarily. But I got to talk about a game that we have not really seen a lot of, folks. And that is one of Zemi's most anticipated games in 2021. One that I know that he is dying to play, and that is the Xbox exclusive Scorn. This obviously is Geiger, or the creator of Alien inspired. It is grotesque looking. It is dark. We don't really have a lot of information, but what we do know is that it is going to be releasing at some point this autumn, of course, fall 2021. And this is a game that really a lot of people haven't talked about because there hasn't been a lot of information. But Ebb Software, who is making the game, their particular title was in a montage of games releasing on Xbox Game Pass. Now, this montage happened to be, in the PC aspect, but we know it's coming to console the day it launches on PC as well. So I'll start with Zemi. Zemi, I know, all jokes aside, this is a game that you're probably going to heavily pass on because you don't like scary games, and that's perfectly understandable. Some people just don't dig scary games. I get it. But again, what is interesting about Scorn is that we don't know if this is a walking simulator. We don't know if there's going to be some sort of, light or even heavy combat. We don't know if there's going to be guns or any types of magic or whatever it is. Obviously, it looks very, a lot of the structures that we see are Alien-esque inspired. We know that, that one doesn't, it's not an Alien game, but it is their version of one, I suppose. Is this a game that being added to Game Pass just proves that Microsoft is really, making a broad stroke in games for people's palates? again, you're getting indie games in there, you're getting AAA bombs, and you're also getting games like Scorn that, you know, potentially a lot of people might or might not pass on, but because it's in Game Pass, could see significant player base. What are your thoughts on Scorn?
Yeah, so I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head when saying that I'm not going to play this game because I'm definitely not going to play this game. It looks scary. I don't like scary games. That, you know, it's just not for me.
You got this. You got this.
It's just not for me. But also, you know, regardless of it being scary or not scary, you know, whenever I saw the trailer of this and we last talked about it, I said it looked boring, and still to this day, I think it looks boring. But to transition that into the latter question of, you know, does this show Xbox's, you know, broad stroke ability to add in tons of games for all sorts of gamers? Absolutely it does, right? Just because I think this game looks boring, that's a personal opinion, right?
Right.
That doesn't mean that, you know, all the other, you know, 23 million subscribers to Game Pass or however many that there are going to think it looks boring as well. I mean, of course, some of them are probably going to agree with my assumption and not play it, but there's always going to be an audience for, you know, the Scorn types of games. And so just the fact that they have it in there and they're supporting it into Game Pass for players who want to just proves the importance that variety plays on Game Pass, but also Xbox's willingness to, you know, ensure that they have a, you know, variety of content in Game Pass, which, you know, just makes the platform even stronger. So not interested in playing it, but I definitely see the importance of it being in Game Pass, and I'm excited for all those that are excited to play it whenever it releases.
Yeah, I mean, listen. Again, it's definitely a game for me. I know it's not a game for you, but the fact that it's another game into Xbox Game Pass, solidifying the conversation of the best value in gaming, as well as potentially. Again, this is a new IP, folks, from a small developer. 3-bit. Let's get your opinion on this because, you know, from an artist's point of view, Scorn checks off a lot of personal boxes for me because, again, there's a lot going on. We've seen a couple of videos. We haven't heard much. We know that they're putting some heavy work to release, and obviously it's releasing this autumn or fall. Where do you fall on your excitement or even interest in Scorn? And again, does it do something special for Xbox Game Pass, you know, doing that broad stroke of appeal for a game that, you know, may or may not get a lot of sales if it was just on sale on the store, but it's in Game Pass, it may get a lot more eyes than it would have before.
Yeah, that's true. Whenever you hear about developers who come out of Game Pass, there's some positivity that's usually there because they get eyes on it that, you know, normally would not have been on that game. And I'm glad that Scorn is releasing this year. It's been a couple titles that are coming out for Xbox that kind of has been hiding in the shadows, and you almost forget that Xbox is launching with all these different games this year. Third party aside, if all goes to plan, you'll have Scorn, potentially Crossfire X, Halo Infinite, Forza Horizon, going 12 minutes, all Ascent, right? And I mean, it's getting pretty packed. So to see Scorn still coming out this fall is pretty awesome. And the game, it looks incredibly unique and kind of disgusting. And I think someone in the chat said moist was one word they used
Wet
to describe it.
I think I saw it too. Yeah.
Yeah. And it has like this HR Geiger.
Yeah, 100%.
Style.
It is heavily inspired by his work. At least it seems as if, anyway.
Yeah, it's like HR Geiger style. Being seen outside of the Alien franchise is always a good time. I think I love that style, and I think the devs said somewhere that they had the philosophy where everything is sort of alive. So your bullets are like these shrimp-looking things that you can load in, and most of your weapons are actually just attachments. So it's kind of like the same gun, but you're slapping on like different barrels on the front of it, which is pretty rad. So yeah, I mean, it looks very creepy, and to your point about Game Pass, I think it's for the people who normally would not have gone into the moist land they now can do it for free, kind of. So
I love it. I love
yes,
it.
should be fun.
Nice. Mav, let's get your opinion on this. This is a game that obviously everyone thinks it to be moist. And it's funny. Someone made mention that I actually it's been so long since I saw it that I forgot that there was different attachments that were slimy and going into each other, and you were making bullets out of what looked like these shrimp things. I actually totally forgot about that. So there is going to be combat in the game. It's not going to be a walking simulator. I don't know how big the story is going to be, but the fact that it's still coming out this year, it's just another game to add to the conversation of, wow, what an incredible year Xbox has had and continues to have. Where do you fall on your excitement? Is Scorn you up your alley? Is something you'd play through?
If I like it. So I definitely am going to try it. It looks like too interesting not to play. Right, and it's in Game Pass, right? So it's one of those that it's like I don't think there's any reason not to try unless it's just you're too squeamish or whatever, right? So that's fine if it's not for you, but it looks like it could be fun. I remember watching that the last time we saw it, they had like a 15-minute gameplay segment. And when we saw it that time, it had like made leaps and bounds above the other time that we had seen it previously. So I can't wait to see it again now, because I remember that was not that long between those two showings when we had already seen that much improvement. So I'm thinking this game is going to be one of those like kind of sleeper games that kind of comes out of nowhere, and it just has a audience that just is absolutely obsessed with it, right? It has that potential. I think from what I've seen, I don't know if it's that much for me, but it's definitely something I'm going to play and see if I love, right? I just am afraid to touch too much things in that game because like it's like everything is wet and sticky and nasty. And like even like when they showed like y'all said like loading the ammo in the gun, I was like, oh, that's gross. And then you touch a button on the wall, it's like that's gross, and then like it even has like ooze when you take your hand away, and it's like it's like ooze stretches away. Like oh man, it's a nasty game. But what's cool about that is it is unique. Like
Yes.
how many games are we playing inside of this flesh monster thing? It's really cool. But then we also got other stuff like you were talking about, like the gunk, Crossfire X.
Dude,
There's
yes.
sleepers.
Yes.
There's sleeper games that like are exclusive on. I don't know if Scorn is Scorn actually Xbox console exclusive, or it's on
Yeah, no,
Xbox
PC as well, but
Right.
it's Xbox exclusive.
Yeah, so that and Gunk is as well, right? And Crossfire X is as well. And nobody's even talking about the fact that the Xbox has those exclusive games coming over the next few months, really, right? So
Right.
you combine those with the Forza and Halo, it's just insane. And each thing is so different, right? They're all so different from one another. So I mean, it's gonna be interesting. Scorn. I don't know what to think of it right now. I have to get my hands on it, but I don't want to touch it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes perfect sense. It is certainly gross. But real quick, Gerald Mack in the chat drops a $5 super chat and says, do we think that the new, cheaper built PlayStation 5 will push gamers to the Xbox this generation? Gary Duddle had made a comment, I think, in regards that 95% of gamers, and I agree with you, Gary, don't know the inner workings of what's going on, whether they're buying an old PS5 or not. They're just going to go out and buy a console, and if it plays said game, they're going to enjoy the heck out of it. I think that what you might see and what we talked about on Primetime Gaming, and Kay Asante, who's in the chat, brought this up, and it was a fantastic point, is that right now, you don't hear a lot about the PlayStation 5 because there's not a lot of consoles out there. So the people that got their consoles, I mean, you did hear some people have issues, and it seemed like it was a little bit random, right? That people were having issues, but that's because 7.5 million consoles are out there. The other 2.5 are inactive. Those are in Johnny's garage waiting to be sold for $1,000 this holiday. With the revision, what I think, and what Kay Asante made mention of last night, and everyone almost was an anonymous theory, is that once these consoles, the revised ones with the smaller heat sinks, the bigger fans, get into more hands, you will potentially see more and more issues start to pile, start to come out, because more people have the consoles and more people are experiencing said issues. If there are issues that do come out of it, a lot of people on the panel, including Wandering Dutch, who really went into the nitty gritty about why he thinks that this could potentially be a problem. And again, not necessarily now. In the long run, it's only time is going to certainly tell. We also have a super chat from Michael B, who says he just follows and says, "Boom, a friend needs an Xbox. Who should he follow for a scoop?" Obviously the main guy that I think everyone already knows who to follow is Wario64. It's because of him and his links that I was able to not only know about the 830 Walmart Xbox Halo edition, but the link worked. I got right in. I was there first. I got my my credit card information, and boom, 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 I got the console. D Batch is also very good at doing that, of RDX fame. He always puts links out there when these consoles are available. But I definitely would say follow those two, D Batch on Twitter, and of course Wario64, who seems to be the master of getting these links out and the information. I don't know how he does it. I'm going to be honest with you. But Flynn, let's get your opinion on this. Scorn is a game that we have seen previewed on many sites. A lot of people are interested in this game. Some people are grossed out by the game because of its stickiness or wetness, if you will. Where do you fall on your opinion on it? Is it a game that interests you because of how different it is?
Oh, definitely. Like everybody's saying, that's gross. It's grotesque. It's got a lot of body horror in it. It's very moist. So whenever we're looking at it, it's definitely going to get off a lot of horror vibes, and I think that's what we kind of need. I can't actually think of like a lot of like horror games that are launching like around the time of October or November at the very least. So better late than never on that. But I think we saw it during that third-party Xbox show last year, I believe, and there's still a lot of games that are still missing from there, like Corvus and Bright Memory Infinite, but that's a different discussion. But yeah, Scorn looks very unique. I'm not going to say it looks fun or exciting, but it's definitely going to be a very unique atmospheric experience, basically. And, everybody can be grossed out by it, but you never know. You never know until you try. Just give the moist thing a try.
Yeah, I mean, listen, again, it's probably not going to be for everyone. It is going to be in Game Pass. Because of that, I believe more eyes are going to be on the game and potentially give it a shot. I mean, that's the amazing thing about Game Pass. Maybe isometric Cyberpunk isn't for you, but if you played the Ascent, you're like, well, wait a second, this is actually kind of cool. I never really dug these types of games. Here you go. Same thing with many games that have been on there. Again, two games that were not on there, very surprisingly, almost not on there. Song of Iron being the first one, or the second one in Death's Door. Two games I highly recommend if you haven't played them. Both they won't break the bank, and they're both experiences that were well worth their weight in gold. Folks, we have 20 minutes left of the show. Today's only going to be a short 90 minutes because there's only so much to talk about. There hasn't been a lot of news, but I do want to talk about something that just happened. If you saw me looking down, is because I was watching my screen, watching the chat, and also watching the Far Cry 6 Xbox Series X gameplay showcase. And I can say that Far Cry 6 is I don't know how everyone feels about the brand. A lot of people are like, yeah, I got to get to this tower and I got to take over this base. Boom, loves that shit. I mean, straight up, it's like Assassin's Creed for me. It's almost like crack cocaine. I love a lot of things to do, and Far Cry looks to be another banger. And of course, the lead bad guy. What could you say about the actor? He's phenomenal. 3-bit. Let's go to you first on it. I don't know if you got a chance to see it, but we have seen footage before. They just had their showcase today. They showed off the Xbox Series X version of Far Cry 6. I'm still on the fence of whether or not this is going to be a Game Pass surprise. And maybe, because we're still all waiting for the Ubisoft Plus to arrive, which we've heard for quite some time, coming to Xbox Game Pass, kind of like EA Play. It would make perfect sense for both Ubisoft because they have such a good relationship with Microsoft, and it would just get more people and more eyes and ears on their games. Is Far Cry on your list of games that you might be interested in playing?
For sure. I think Far Cry as a franchise has definitely experimented with a lot of their different titles, and I think the thing that appeals to me about the Far Cry franchise has always been the villains, right?
Yes.
You have in the third game, I think that was when it kind of started, having Voss, I believe his
Voss
name.
was
Voss.
yeah, he
Voss
was
as
something else, that's for sure.
Yeah, and it seems like every time I see this game, it gets more and more polished, and yeah, it looks great. It looks like a fun time. I am lucky enough; I might be working on a few things with this game very soon. But in terms of the the environment is freaking cool.
Yes.
It's just I really like how they have done the whole setting where it's like the father and the son, and if you guys watched the trailer, that was a really cool moment where he was kind of teaching the son kind of how to be a dictator.
There are rumors that actually might be Voss. Remember, this is a prequel,
Yeah,
so
that'd be kind of crazy.
That would be kind of dope. Yeah, Giancarlo Esposito. I mean, no matter what that man plays, whether he plays a good guy or a Sith Lord, that guy is a boss. And the fact that he is in this game as the lead villain, another memorable villain that is, I mean, obviously it comes out October, which is great. This was delayed from last year. Another game that made its way into 2021. For me, I can't wait to get it. I mean, where do you fall on the potential of this being one of the big ones that they announced for Xbox Game Pass in Ubisoft Plus? Is that something you keep in the back of your mind?
Man, yeah, I mean, Game Pass. Whenever a game comes out on Game Pass, it's just continuously just adding to the value that it has. And every time people are sort of skeptical about Game Pass, and they are looking at the lineup of what's actually there, it just makes it worthwhile. And I think people who normally wouldn't have played certain games on Game Pass, maybe like this, if then they could try it on Game Pass, see how it is, and maybe even purchase it. I know some people who have Game Pass and still buy the game. they use it as like a demo, and I'm like, why? They're like, I just want to,
know what? It's funny you say that, because this morning I noticed that they had some DLC available that's preloadable for Forza Horizon 5, and the big pack that comes with the game is $100. Right, you can piecemeal the DLC, but I'm all about what they're going to do afterwards. Like, as great as Mexico is going to be, and it's going to be gorgeous. I'm definitely driving over a volcano for sure. The first thing I'm doing, but they had the pack is 10% off if you have Game Pass for the 2 additional DLCs and all the actual little, like, the car pack and everything. I bought it. It was $44. I didn't even think twice about pressing it. Like, I mean, like, there's certain games I'm hoping that Halo has a special edition that's big. And I mean, when I say big, statue big, the steel book, big thick stuff. I want a traditional, monster. And of course, I'm going to play it on Game Pass, but I will buy that game again. And I will buy the physical copy of it. But please continue.
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna say, towards the end of this year, I mean, we have been in what Pong calls the golden age of gaming.
He
this
certainly does. That
year.
is definitely a Pong Soul quote.
Yeah, and it's true. There's just a lot of games coming out this holiday, and I know Mav is a huge fan of Far Cry, and looking forward to what he says about it. But yeah, in terms of Far Cry itself, it's just gonna be fun, right? It's just gonna be a fun game. We've seen like the disc or the gun where you could shoot like record players and stuff like that. And,
Yes. Well, you can also have animals. You have alligators, bro. I mean, come on.
yeah, so it's always
Stick
a
your
good time.
alligator on your nemesis, bro. Nothing wrong with having a pet alligator. Zemi
Or
Games. Yeah, no, please continue.
And I was just gonna say, or distract him with the puppy. You
The
know?
Yeah.
puppy
Oh
is
yeah, the
adorable.
puppy.
Yes, with the 4 legs that don't work. That is pretty. I forgot what the name of the puppy is. If you know it in the chat, throw it in there. Chorizo. Yes, and that means sausage in Spanish, folks. If you don't know, I have Spanish, but my wife's Puerto Rican, so I kind of know that. Anyway, let's get to Zemi Games. Zemi, this is another big AAA game. Giancarlo Esposito. I mean, what could you say about the actor? He's a boss. I don't know if you're into the Far Cry games. I have always loved the Far Cry games. I try to get all the achievements. I like climbing the stupid towers. I like leveling up my guns. I like sneaking into a base and taking everybody out without sending off one alarm. I like all that stuff. Maybe there's some undiagnosed ADD that I like a lot of stuff to do. It's probably why I cannot stop playing Animal Crossing. My God, I know this is an Xbox Factor podcast, but folks, Animal Crossing has taken over Mrs. Boom's and my life. But I mean, are you excited for Far Cry 6?
Oh yeah, I am. Which actually kind of surprised me because I absolutely loved Far Cry 3. And I really enjoyed playing Far Cry 2 as well. And those were really like the last Far Cry games that really resonated with me as a player. But as soon as I saw Far Cry 6 and I saw what the setting was, I saw who the cast was, like I really, really got interested. I've said this in a lot of private conversations. I don't know if I've said it on a podcast or not, but it definitely gives me some Tropico vibes, right?
Yes, dude. It
with
does.
it being like a tropical island and a dictator, and there's the rebels, and I don't know, like it really speaks to me. So I 100% am into this game. Day one, it's a buy and play for me.
Yeah.
Unless something magical comes out that I haven't seen so far. But as it stands right now, it's a buy and play day one. For me, I'm really, really excited to jump back into Far Cry. It was, like I said, I mean, it was a game that, for Far Cry 3, I absolutely just was addicted to that game, and I just kind of fell out of it, and nothing that they were doing really interested me. So to finally see a game that they're coming out with that really, really has me excited and interested, has me beyond excited. I cannot wait to jump in this holiday and play Far Cry 6.
Yeah, that makes two of us. Real quick, I got a shout out. Drawn TJ drops an additional $5 super chat and says, "Hey, Boom and panel, do you guys want to play Halo Infinite multiplayer with me when it comes out?" You're damn right we do. We're definitely going to be doing some big community nights. I'm definitely going to be jumping in with a lot of people. I know Noof Nukem, good friend of this community, great friend of this show, is going to be doing specifically some big game nights. I will be joining him when he announces that. And yeah, I'll definitely be playing Halo with it. I cannot wait. And it's crazy because, again, I don't have a lot of time. At night is designated for my wife who works during the day. But I will figure out a time, even after she goes to sleep, and jump up, put the headphones on, and get an hour or two at midnight. But I'm definitely playing Halo online. I cannot wait. It's the first time in a very, very long time that I am just as excited for the single player as I am with the multiplayer, because it's Halo, folks. I mean, come on, what's not to get excited about? Mav, let's get your opinion on this. Far Cry 6 seems to, I mean, it's Far Cry. There's going to be a lot of wackiness. Once again, they have an incredible villain, and where there's some rumors that could be Voss as a kid, because this is kind of a prequel, which is pretty dope. Are you a day one? Is that a day one purchase for you?
I've always been a day one on Far Cry.
Yeah.
I think it's like my third favorite franchise behind Halo and Splinter Cell. I
Nice,
loved it
dude.
ever since Far Cry Instincts came out on the original Xbox. And I remember that was the only thing that got me to stop playing Halo 3 or Halo 2. Yeah, Halo 2. It was the only thing that got me to stop playing Halo 2. The map editor that they had on there was crazy. You can make custom games by messing with stuff, and it had a good online, but the single player was fun. But then when Far Cry 2 opened up and they actually had the open world on console, because before Far Cry 1 was open world on PC, but on console they had made a more linear version because of the limitations of the hardware, right? So that was Far Cry 2 is my first experience playing open world Far Cry, and that was one of the first games to have like propagating fire and stuff, right? It was like, wow, all this stuff they're doing in an open world game was crazy. The gunplay always felt so good, and then Far Cry 3 added the really strong story, right? Or with the villain that just really captured everybody. And they just kept it going from there. 4 and 5 were both really good. Really piggybacking off of that whole villain is the star of the show thing, right? But 6 is bringing it with that, but bringing it back to the tropical setting, which is where Far Cry belongs, in my opinion. It's cool to move around just to keep things fresh, but Far Cry has always been the best when it's in a island / tropical environment, jungle environment. You just really get all that greenery, all the trees. I remember in Far Cry Instincts, even like setting traps on the trees and throwing rocks to try and get guys to walk through, and then the branch will swing and knock the guys on their ass, and that was a lot of fun, right?
Yeah.
So Far Cry 6, I am so excited for it. Honestly, I could even care less about what's going on with the story, because for me, Far Cry has been about the sandbox gameplay that I just want to dive in and go wherever the hell I want.
Yep.
Run into animals, run into just guys driving with Jeeps, and then take out your grenade launcher and blow them up. And it's just so easy and fun and chaotic. But the thing I'm most excited about, because for the first time on the Series X with FPS boost, I was able to experience Far Cry at 60 frames.
Yes.
Now, the catch is that we lost the 1X resolution for the 1X enhancements with that. So, you lost some visuals there, but you did get to 60 frames. But because this is a new game,
Yep.
Guess what? We're getting Far Cry with the best of both worlds. I get the visuals, it's not going to be the most graphically like stellar game out there. It's a big open world thing, right? But it's going to be like a 4K 60 Far Cry. And if it feels like Far Cry, and it feels like what I'm playing on 60 frames FPS boost with Far Cry 5 and Far Cry 4,
Win-win or chicken dinner.
heck yeah, dude. I am like all in. It changes the way the game feels so much. As somebody that's played so much Far Cry, playing it at 60 frames, it's just mechanically, it just feels so much better. And that's what I'm so excited about for this, because I get a brand new Far Cry game that is going to look and play great on console.
Yes.
And in a tropical setting. It's going to be absolutely amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Real quick, Jay Jigga or Jigga J in the chat asks, does Far Cry 6 still have co-op? I believe it does. I don't recall them saying it wasn't gonna have co-op. Usually you can play these big open worlds in co-op, I would imagine no less. But I do like what you're saying, Mav. The best of both worlds. You're gonna get 60 frames, which is hard to go back to. Like a lot of these, we're getting a lot of advancements on games. I saw a lot of people talking about the Assassin's Creed, 60 FPS boost, and a lot of people are like, wow, this is like a new game for me. I want to play it, which is awesome. And again, I say this, being very facetious, that I'm jealous of some people that missed out on some of these experiences that I already have 100, 200, 300, 42 days in, because I wouldn't go back to it because I've already, beaten the balls off of it. but if you haven't experienced it and now you're getting the best version, like Everborn Saga has had that happen a bit. Obviously, he's a panel member on Primetime Gaming. A lot of experiences that I've already beaten, went through, even platinumed, and got every achievement for, is experiencing now for the first time. Senua's Sacrifice is another perfect example of that. I wish I hadn't experienced it so I can experience the way it is, because now it's incredible. But closing out this topic, let's get Flame's opinion. For you personally, where does Far Cry 6 fit into your fall gaming? Is it something you're going to get day and date?
Well, remember whenever you were talking about that $100 edition? That's me. Well, actually, the $110 edition. So yeah, day one it's going to be.
Oh, you're talking about you're talking about for Far Cry, the Gold Edition. I buy every as Ubisoft game as the Gold Edition,
the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah,
$110. Like that. The highest I can go on it. That's where I'm dropping my money.
Me too.
And
I always do.
It seems silly, but it's like I need to get every little thing that I can before, starting the game. But yeah, it looks amazing. Like I love Giancarlo Esposito as an actor. I love what they're doing with the setting, all the crazy weapons, like 3-Bit said with the disc launcher. I think that weapon's going to be very, record launcher.
You're launching vinyls. Now, I don't know how many people actually know what vinyls are. I'm an old fart, so I still have vinyls, brother. I still got all of the Kiss albums on vinyl in mint condition. So, but that's kind of dope. You're launching vinyls and cutting people's heads off.
Yep.
Who could ask for better?
It's going to be amazing. And again, you got things like a crocodile, a puppy. I think there's like this weird punk rock chicken or something like that. Like it's very silly, but it's adding so much to the gameplay. It's like it's going to be a very fun thing to play, and I just want to see if they're able to capture the magic of Far Cry 3 because I don't think they will, but people never really give a lot of credit to like what they were doing with Far Cry 4 and 5 whenever they just focused more on the sandbox and got away from the story just a little bit. But yeah, day one I'm going to be playing Far Cry 6, and I think it's going to be a very fun experience for anybody who just loves first-person shooters in general.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I said, I look forward to Far Cry games. Again, like most Ubisoft titles, I buy the Maximum Edition. I like getting all the DLC. I like the little extra bonuses they give you to start the game, whether that be other weapons, different skins. I'm all in on Ubisoft. I know that there's been some stuff in the background, which they're changing leadership as we speak. But I've always been a fan of their games. I'm hoping and again. I know that money is still tight for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to have to be very cautious in what they spend their money on. That's why you should have Xbox Game Pass for sure. But I'm wondering when Microsoft is going to announce this. Is this the Game Awards announcement? Do they get out there and have Ubisoft and Microsoft come out together and say yes, Ubisoft Plus now on Xbox Game Pass as a bonus, no extra charge, or do they do this at an Xbox show? That they might. XO is we from what we understand, a digital XO should be happening. We haven't heard anything, but I would imagine that why wouldn't they do an XO? Because of obviously that'd be a great way to show some Halo single player campaign, a controlled event. They're running the event, so keep on the lookout for XO. Gary Duddle in the chat had dropped some information. Where is it over here? But yeah, it is in fact. He says, fortunately, Far Cry 6 will feature the co-op experience from Far Cry 5, and that worked just fine. So that's
nice.
Boom. If I can, one more thing on Far Cry, just for people.
Yeah, sure.
If you're a fan of Ubisoft single-player serious type games, I know Far Cry is not the most serious, but if you're a fan of the traditional Ubisoft games that we've been getting for the last 20 years, I'm talking about Far Cry, Clancy, Assassin's Creed, big single-player focused games, buy this, please. Because I'm hoping it's not the last. With the direction that has been going,
specifically with what the Ubisoft has announced. That's a great point, Mav. That's a great point.
X Defiant, Heartland. Who knows exactly what Skull and Bones is going to be right now? The Assassin's Creed Infinity. you see, then they had announced that, hey, we want to make all of our franchises free to play monetization model things, right? And we've actually been seeing, hey, guess what? X Defiant, Heartland, all these announcements have been coming pretty rapidly about these games set in these franchises and worlds that are that style. Far Cry 6 has been in development for a long time now, so it's still going to come out, but I don't want this to be the last Far Cry.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be the last traditional Far Cry game. I don't want the last Assassin's Creed to be the last Assassin's Creed game, traditional Assassin's Creed game. I want Clancy games to continue and come back in a big way, including Splinter Cell. I don't want X Defiant over Splinter Cell, right? So if you're a fan of that style game and you want to give it a shot, don't be afraid to buy it, because if it sells,
it's gonna be a good game, dude.
If it sells, they're gonna make more, right? If it doesn't, they're not.
Well, and plus with the season pass of Far Cry 6, they're literally going back and letting you play as the villains from I think it's like Far Cry 5, 4, and 3. So they're giving you tons of single player content. I think people always see, like, was it the microtransactions in the little add-ons page or whatever? Ignore that. By the season pass, by the game itself, show them where you want this game to be. Do not let Far Cry become like a battle royale kind of thing or something,
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And on that note, folks, we are past the 90-minute mark. Want to announce the next 5 winners: Mike Lowry, Big Bad Mo, D Diaz, Pixel Bit G, and Gerald Mack. And those are your 10 winners, folks, of the $25 gift card, courtesy of Mr. and Mrs. Boomstick. We're doing that obviously to support. Now, again, you're not required, right, to buy Song of Iron, but the reason why we did the giveaway, it was to support Joe Winter, and obviously, it's a game I gave a very, very high score for. I think it's a game you're definitely going to dig if you are a fan of Limbo and Playdead's kind of style of gaming, like Inside. I think that you're definitely going to dig this. You saw the first hour, or an hour of, not the first hour, an hour of the of the game. I think you if you dig it, definitely get out there and support Joe by buying the game. It's $20 on Xbox Live, or of course on Steam. I got to run out and do a few things with Mrs. Boom. As soon as I get back mid-afternoon, I'll be dropping those $25 codes into your DMs. Please, everyone that is a winner, DM me. Say, hey, Boom, thanks for, don't tell me, don't say thanks. Just say, Boom, here's my DM, so I don't have to go looking for it, and I can just drop the code in and get it to you. And once again, those 10 winners are Lady Foxfire, Phasma, Outbreak Podcast, Joe Dunmore, Paul AFC, Mike Lowry, Big Bad Mo, D Diaz, Pixel Bit G, and Gerald Mack. Those are your 10 winners of the $25 gift cards. And I want to thank everybody. We had over 300 people here. This was great. We had 2 big guests, obviously. We have Flame from lordsofgaming.net. And, of course, we had Joe Winter, creator, designer, producer of course, Song of Iron. And we'll start with our first guest. Obviously, Joe is out of here. Hopefully his nerves calm down once the game gets out there in everyone's hands. Flame, thank you so much for being here, brother. Definitely appreciate it. Tell everyone where they can check out your work on lordsofgaming.net, and more importantly, reach out to you on social media.
All right. Well, first I want to say thank you for having me on again. And
Sure.
And on Twitter, I am at FlameLognet. I am Joseph Rebko on lordsofgaming.net. I currently have a review out for Dreamscaper. It's a isometric dungeon crawler roguelike game created by 3 ex-AAA developers.
Nice.
It's out on the Switch and PC for $24.99. Check it out if you love roguelites. It's absolutely incredible. It was in early access for about a year, and it was in early production where I was actually able to play it like a year before early access too.
Whoa.
So it's nice to see. Well, they were kind of open about it. They had like a public demo and everything like that, but it didn't get like a lot of like giant buzz or anything like that. So I was actually able to find it and play it, and
Nice.
We trust the developers, and it's great to see their success so far.
Yeah, I mean that's good. I love to hear those stories, and you're seeing it more and more often. I mean, Joe is a perfect example of. And again, please watch the video. Take the time. It's my video is only it's about 8 minutes. I give a whole backstory on Joe. If you didn't know, he was a lead animator at 343 Industries, and yes, he did in fact work on Halo Infinite, folks, before leaving to go do his dream. And I think, Flame, what you're seeing is more and more of these AAA developers that are a part of these big studios leaving to go do their own thing. I love to see it. I love to see that they are out there, and we have to support them, folks, because they're taking chances. You know, being your own boss, super, super tough to do. And, you know, it's hard to say, you know, buy to a big AAA studio that pays your, that gives you a weekly paycheck, has health insurance to go do your own thing because you're passionate. But thanks for being here, brother. Zemi Games, thank you so much for being here as always, dude. Tell everyone where they can check out theconstantgamer.com, check you out on social media, and more importantly, subscribe to your very incredibly growing YouTube channel.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Constant Gamer website is still being updated. That should hopefully be finished within the next probably 2 to 3 weeks. So, you know, that will be re-releasing here hopefully very soon. But in the meantime, you guys can go and check out my YouTube channel. It's called Constant Gamer. I post gaming news, reviews, some theory videos, just a ton of gaming content over there. So if you want, you know, hop over there, watch some content. If you like what you see, hit the subscribe button. And once again, that YouTube channel is called Constant Gamer. You guys can also follow me on Twitter at Zimmy Games. I, you know, post gaming news, give updates for, you know, anything, professionally that I'm doing, on that Twitter. So definitely check that out if you want. Once again, that's at Zimmy Games. So be sure to follow me there if you want. Boom. Thank you so much, man. Fantastic show as always. And I'll see you next Tuesday.
Definitely, brother. Definitely. Thank you so much for being here. And obviously, we're going to be doing this again on the Xbox Factor Podcast Thursday edition. I'm writing that show as we speak. And of course, Friday mornings, Breakfast with Boom. I believe we're going to have a couple of guests. And I think Pong Soul might be one of them because obviously he couldn't be here today. Mav, thank you so much for being here and stepping up and, of course, doing what you do best. And that's just talking about games. Talk about your Friday evening podcast, which is one of the best of the best of the best, sir. And also, where can people reach out to you on social media?
Thanks, Boom. This has been an absolute blast again. Love always talking Xbox, which we do, like you said, on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern on Xbox Ultimate Podcast, where we have the Magnificent Seven, which includes 3-Bit down below. We like to keep it positive, fun, talking about all the latest news and stuff, just like you do, Boom. You have great topics. I'm a little jealous of your topics and your notes that you take. You put a lot of work into this, and it's like,
Thank you.
How can I be more like Boom? No, but seriously though,
don't write as much as Boom, because what that does, is, and here's the thing. Listen, I'll give a little admission live on the air for you folks. Normally, I spend outrageous amount of time writing. I do, and the show notes that I make, they're preposterous. They're like it's like going back to school. It's like necessary reading. And this week, I've had a really busy week, but here is the caveat. Because of my open and admitted addiction to Animal Crossing, me and Mrs. Boom play every day, dude. It is freaking. You know what it is? We're gaming as a couple, and it's just fun. It's something we love to do together. We haven't done it in a while, and now this is just something that we do every night. I underprepared for today's show. Hopefully you enjoyed it though. The topics were good. Not as much writing went into it because we're just talking off the cusp. But thank you for the compliment, Mav, and great to have you today.
Yeah, dude. It's a blast, like I said. Also, we have Fun Pop Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, which is for Marvel.
A lot of Marvel
DC
stuff going on.
Yeah, dude. It is going to be crazy because we got Shang-Chi, and we got freaking the Eternals. What If is going on right now.
Home.
Spider-Man. Oh my gosh, it's just like insane. And
What
we got
If
DC fandom
episode 4
coming.
drops tomorrow, right before your show.
Yep. We're having a lot of fun talking all that stuff over on Fun Pop. So check that out Wednesdays at 10 p.m. Eastern, and make sure you guys hit the like button for Boom. He's only 1.24K subs away from 10K.
Yeah.
That's going to be a huge deal, Boom. I'm super excited when you hit that because you deserve it.
I appreciate
leading the way with class. So. All right, I'll stop talking. Go ahead.
No. Listen, this is a conversational podcast. I've been struggling lately with the subs, folks. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. 28 subs in the last 28 days. It's the worst I think the channel's ever done, and its inception. I don't know if it's YouTube throttling the channel down or what. Something's afoot. Listen, you guys are here each and every. We got 300 people here almost every show. That's pretty good for a small channel. Would absolutely love to hit 10,000 before the end of 2021. I don't think we're gonna hit it. I think we're gonna hit it first quarter 22, but I could be wrong. Obviously, as we get closer, I do 4 shows a week. I don't know what else more I can do. But listen,
I'll tell you what, Boom. Just keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it. Yes,
and don't even worry about it because your stuff is awesome, and it's an example of kind of what I think podcasts should be about. You're a fan of it. You get excited talking about it. You know what I mean? And it's not about talking trash or being toxic, spreading misinformation, any of that stuff. It's about loving what you are talking about. And that's why you have the show. So that's 100% what it's about.
Definitely appreciate that. Real quick, I don't mean to extend the show anymore because I really got to get that out of here. But if I don't address this is going to eat at me. Painkiller in the chat says, maybe you could answer people's questions instead of just super chats. Let me tell you something, Painkiller. When you have 3 screens opened up in front of you, which you cannot see, and I'm monitoring the chat, I'm making sure that there aren't any racist pieces of shit or trolls in here. I'm trying to answer the super chats. I'm trying to make sure the footage on the screen goes right. And I'm still trying to maintain the show in a proper manner. When you can do all of those things, as well as read from a teleprompter like I do, then we can talk. Until you can actually do what I'm doing, I think that's an insult. It's quite insulting, as a matter of fact. And normally I ban a motherfucker like that. Pardon my French, because that's insulting to me. You're telling me that I'm somehow ignoring your questions. I think everyone that's in this chat I greeted, and I physically wrote, hey, welcome to the show. Hello, welcome. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. So when you can do all of those things that I do, and you have your own channel, then you can come at me strong and tell me that why I don't answer your particular questions. Again, apologize for the cursing. But it's that kind of
people
stuff.
Don't realize that you're trying to do a show and you're trying to talk to all of these the panelists. You're trying to keep the conversation going. You're paying attention to what they're saying and to make sure you drive home the points. And you also got to make sure you get all the topics that you're going. You're also trying to pay attention to the chat at the same time. And it's a lot harder than people realize. And plus, reading just random questions from the chat is. Occasionally you're going to see something that catches your eye, but it's not something that anybody does really on a podcast.
Well, listen, thank you for that, brother. But let's get everyone out of here. 3-Bit. First of all, brother, thank you for being here every week. Your insight into the gaming industry as well as your fandom is always fantastic to hear both point of views. Tell everyone where they can check out your YouTube channel. And what else do you got going on, dude?
Yeah, so everyone can follow me on Twitter at the VGHD. My YouTube channel is the Video Games HD. I am on Mav Show, or pretty much Xbox Ultimate Magnificent 7 every Friday, and I'm on this show every Tuesday. I have a couple of things coming up that you guys will see in a couple of weeks. I'm just animating my heart away. Lots of different projects.
Good.
And we'll be working again with UB next month. So looking forward to that. And I just want to say, Boom, I always try to do this, but you are the reason why I'm even podcasting in this community. So
Thank you, bro.
I always
Thank you.
try to give you your credit there, because it's much appreciated. And I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Love the show.
Well, thank you so much. Real quick, I'm just going to shout out Error Bear 32 drops a very generous £5 super chat. Says, "Boom, you, it's all we want, and it's why we're here." Well, thank you for the compliment. Thank you for the generosity. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's super, super important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And I think now in this particular world that we're living in, it's certainly more important than ever. And he said, "Son, treat others how you want to be treated. Also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day." So take care, everyone, and we'll see you on Thursday's newest episode of the Xbox Factor podcast.